Alright, Al, hey, how you doing, guys? Just finished a project here. I picked up my grandpa's old post vise out of their farmstead up in North Dakota, but my workbench just doesn't have a good spot for it, so I built a little stand here. Pretty solid, pretty rigid. Just got done, so time for a beer, but thought you might want to come along for the ride. So here's how I made it. Enjoy! First things first, the 4x4s I picked up. I picked these up from the Habitat for Humanity Restore, which is an amazing store. You should find one near you and check it out. Go there first for any supplies you need for a project. It's inexpensive and the money goes to a good use. But anyway, so I picked up these 4x4s there, but they've got kind of some weird shapes on the end. So first things first, I'm going to use the miter box there to trim them up. One. Alright, second part here. This is one of the pieces I cut off the end there. And I'm just gonna, because I want to tie these two together like this. So just for now, this is gonna both, I figure, give it a little bit extra height and just kind of help tie the two pieces together. I want to attach this on the end like this. And just as a quick way to get them to hold for now, and then I'll reinforce it more a little later, I'm just going to use the air gun here to just pop, 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 pop. There. And with that, let's put a couple in this way for good measure. Just to help tie all this together. Quick, easy way to start getting some things to stick. And actually, I think I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to put just a couple at an angle to tie it together on top as well. So, hey, so that'll work. That'll be the stand now that the vise will sit on. Now we got to make the base and help get this all tied up. Alright, so here's essentially what I think we're going to do. These boards here also came from the Restore. They were like $10 a piece. It was awesome. So basically what we have with our post here, I've got a board coming back on this side and a board coming back the same way on the other side, with a board tying the two together across the top. This is going to give me a base to set. I've got a bucket of cured concrete I had left over when I built my smoker. Set that on there to make it sturdy and rigid. And then we've got a length of 2x4 on top, on the front here, that'll kind of help tie everything together. And then I'm going to run a couple of support braces from here to here. So run this way, and then I'll probably run, I don't know, something down the sides here too. We'll see. We're not that far yet. But this is kind of our basics. So like I did before, I'm just going to start it off here by tacking everything into place with the air nailer. Mostly because, let's be honest, I got a new toy for my birthday and I want to play with it. And I'll use some good screws and get everything a little more solid once I've got it kind of tacked in place. But I like how tall this is because that's going to help me tie into that board that's on the bottom and into these. I think it'll really help make everything more rigid. So here we go. That'll hold that side. Now we'll do the same on the back. Line everything up. I know you can't see this side, so take my word for it, it's exciting. And then our back piece here. There. Okay, put that on. Now, let's see. Where's my tape measure? There it is. And my pen. I had a pen. There it is. Sorry, disorganized. Story of my life. I want to make sure this is at least close to centered. So I'm going to mark the center here. It is 23, about 23 3/4. So let's see. Well, if it was 24, half of that would be 12. Okay, so let's go just shy of 12. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be close. And so I got a rough center mark. And then, yeah, again, I'm not real worried about it being perfect and everything being flush. It's gonna hold a post vise. Doesn't need to be fancy. And I love that it's being pretty much built all out of scrap lumber. That makes it everything better. So there. All right. So we got the rough part in. All right. I think next thing I'm gonna do is let me get the drill. We'll put some screws in there to make everything a little more sturdy. These the nails I'm using here, they only go maybe 1/4 inch through a 2x4. So this front one's not real sturdy. So let's get everything there rigid. I'll be back when I've got that set up. Well, wouldn't you know it, this is when my battery on my cordless drill decides to die. So we'll try an old, pick this up for $6. I had a garage sale a while back because I needed a hammer drill for drilling some holes in some masonry. So we'll see how this works. I've got 3-inch, which might be a lot of overkill. I don't know. We'll try it. I plan to pound pretty hard on this thing. So I've got some 3-inch exterior screws here. We'll see if we can't get that to go all through and hold this in. Oh, yeah. I don't know that my cordless drill would have done that. So it's probably good that battery was dead, or would have died halfway through. Here goes another. I don't think that one's going anywhere. Let's, you know what? I'm going to try. Probably going to end up splitting the wood. But I'm going to try to put it through the 2x4 and into this one. See if I end up splitting the bottom board. But if not, as long as it doesn't split, I think it'll help. There. Yeah. good. Okay, I'm going to do the same on this side. That one squawked a little. There, that is not going anywhere. All right. Let me adjust it here. I want to put a couple in from the sides as well. Yeah, I do. Actually, before I go here, I'm gonna put a couple in through the bottom for that. The piece that we nailed on top with the air nailer, that is now my bottom. And I want to get that held on there good and tight. So, there's one. There's two. Alright, that's not going anywhere. So let me adjust this and I'll show you. I want to put them in from the sides and then we'll start thinking about the cross pieces. Alright, so from this side, I'm just going to put a couple here and then a couple on the flip side. Just, again, we want this base good and sturdy. It might take some abuse, so we'll put one in here. There's one. Put one in over here. Try to get it so you can see here. And we'll put one here. That one started to grumble a little. And one here. Oh. Ah, there. Barely got that one in. Alright, so now this is good and rigid. Another thing I decided I need to do here, well, okay, I don't know. I think I'm going to need to do it, so I'm going to do it. Maybe it's a bad idea, but we'll find out. Just a piece of scrap trim here. I'm just going to make a box around the top. I'll bring you in so you can see it here, but just to help everything stay steady. Alright, so I want to make a box that goes along the edge here, and then here, here, you get it all four sides, just to help tie everything together. So to do that, I'm just going to hold this up flush, take the pen, mark where it needs to go, then I can bring this over to the miter saw and cut it. I'm just going to do that same for all four sides. You don't, well, you know what, here, let me just do this. I'll do the other side from the other end. So here's my first mark. From the other end, I'll do this side. Ooh. So I'll cut these two. Then we'll measure those two and cut those. Then we'll just air nail that on. These nails I've got will be plenty big to hold those on. Alright, so I showed you I marked those two lines. Now we'll get them cut. There's one. Two. Okay. Let me adjust and refocus here. Oops. I almost had a slip there that would have been bad for YouTube. I almost said a dirty word. Alright, focus that in. So now these, just take the air gun. One goes here. I do not want to stand directly behind this. One goes here. Okay, there's those two. Or that one. Nailing the backside here. Oh, that's already better. But now, the same thing I did on the front, or on the sides rather. Now remember, this is actually going to be the back, but same thing I did there. I'm going to do here, just hold it up, mark my cut line. Other side of the board, hold it up, mark my cut line. Let me cut these real quick. It'll take like 8 seconds. Don't time me. I did say like. Not exactly 8 seconds. 1. Here comes 2. Now we'll quick nail those on. One. I'll show you, I'll kind of try to show you at least here. What I'm trying to do is couple into the 4x4 and then one into each of the sides. There. Already more rigid. I think in the end we're going to have to put another piece on here to actually bolt the thing to, but for now, this is looking good. Definitely going to need some side braces. I'm going to need something coming down there. So let me ponder a little bit, see what I've got for wood. We're going to need braces here to here on both sides, and then here to here on both sides. So let me see what I got for wood for those. Alright, so I have a few nice brand new 2x4s I just picked up for a different project that I could use. Because I didn't get around to getting that project done when I needed it. I was going to make a little trellis for the cucumbers. So I could use those. But I kind of am enjoying the theme on this one of scrap wood. I don't know. I'm finding it enjoyable to think that this whole stand will be scrap. So instead, this big 2x4 here was one of the ones I used for the form for pouring the concrete slab for my smoker back there. So instead, I'm going to use this, but I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit first. So, all right, not what I was planning to do next. Remember, we were going to work on the braces, but I saw an issue. I want to fix it quick. It'll be easy. It wobbles a little this way. So I just took a piece of that same scrap we used up here, and I'm going to just use that as a little corner bracket right here. Just 2, 3, 4. That'll help tie this board to that board. Oh heck, let's do one more for good measure. Yeah, that's enough. It's just fun to play with. Right, so that'll help tie that together. Not a huge difference that's going to make, but a little. That'll help. But yeah, so here's where I'm struggling. Well, not struggling, but deciding on these cross pieces. If I do this one first, will that make it harder to bring that one down? No, I don't think it really will. So let's do it. I'm going to do the side piece first. I'm going to cut it roughly to size, and then we'll cut the angles to get it closer. So I'm just going to cut it there to get it close, and then we'll go from there. I'll come back. Alright, so to get my angles for the cross pieces here. Now this is where if I'd have made it all square and true and easy angles, it would have made life a little easier. But all I did is I cut 2 kind of lengths of that board, set the stand on top of them, and then I just took the pen and drew in the lines. So I'll adjust the saw to the right angles, give them a chop, and we'll see if it works. This one makes me nervous. But it didn't cut quite all the way through. Alright, well, guess I gotta finish that side with the handsaw. It's not perfect. This is not a, by any stretch of the imagination, an expensive saw. And now I got a steep angle I gotta figure out how I'm gonna cut. Well, I'll figure that out. You don't want to watch me putz and ponder. I'll be back when I'm done. Alright, so I got the sides cut. That long angle that was being a little tricky, I ended up needing to cut that by hand. So they weren't nearly as pretty and perfect. In fact, the other side was pretty ugly, so I don't want to show you that. But this side turned out pretty nice. So I got it cut. I'm just going to nail it in place. Couple there. Couple on this one. There we go. So I got the cross braces. You ready to see the ugly other side? You might not be able to tell, but my hand cutting isn't quite up to snuff. This side was way off. This back side is wobbly and wonky. So I put a little L bracket in there, and I think it'll be okay. In fact, I think it'll be more than okay. It'll be fine. So we got this far. Now I need to think about my vertical supports. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do, sorry, walking in front of here, is basically just run it from the inside here up to here, and then just try to make it flush. Is it perfect? No, but I think it'll work. So, and I think, let's see, when I set my tape measure now, I tell you. So this is about, I'm going to need it to be about 30. What kind of length do I have on this overall? Just about 60. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to cut it in half, cut my angles, see what I do from there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll be back. You don't need to see measuring and cutting. You've seen me cut plenty on this. Be right back. Alright, so I got the cross pieces put on. Yeah, they're not pretty, but you know what? They're going to work darn well. Added a couple brackets in the back. I'll show you at the end here, but I'm going to try to get that vise lifted up here, see how well it's going to fit. One issue I already see, though, is, and you probably saw this coming, and you were thinking, you're an idiot, but because of this front box on the, the top, I couldn't come up with top, it's not flush all the way down here. So, got another little piece of scrap that's the same size that I'm going to just mostly center here, just to give it something to push up against. You'll see what I mean when I get it mounted. So I'm just going to pop this in place here. And again, I'm not worrying much about things being exactly centered or perfectly true. I don't think it's going to make a difference. If you want it to be pretty, sure, center things up. If you made these nice 45s, it'd make cuts easier, but I'm not worried about it. I don't think there's any real reason for you to be either if you're going to try to build something like this. But, because what are you going to do? You're going to pound on it with a hammer. So, anyway, let's lift it up. See if it looks like it might work. Get the spring sort of in place here. Alright. Up. Lift that. Up. And. Alright, so here's the bucket of cured concrete that's going to be my counterweight to keep this thing from wobbling too much. And then the issue I've got on the top here is that with my 4x4s, these holes are almost exactly 4 inches apart. So if I were to put a lag bolt in here, I'd just be barely nicking the edge of that post. So I took and cut a chunk of, it's just rough cut cedar. It's a 2x6. But I think I pulled this probably out of the dump when I was dropping off brush or something like that. Leaves in the fall maybe. But I'm just going to see if I put that here. I think that will work beautifully. Yes, indeed. So, okay, so I'm going to pull the vise off, center this, we'll attach that on the top, and then we'll be ready to put these bolts in. Let me adjust your view here. Okay. Let's put the pretty side out. Alright, that's close. Now, again, because it's easy, it's quick, and I get to play with my new toy. Let's see if we can just pin it in place with this. Oh yeah, that'll work. Okay. Pinned, we'll do a couple at an angle here. Because now we're going to run bolts holding the vise through this. So I'm not really worried about this not being stable enough. I think it'll be fine. But you know what? Let's put a couple of decent screws through there too. 2 seconds to grab the drill. Okay. Because I'd much rather not have to rebuild this thing next summer. One. Two. That is not going anywhere. Now, oh man, these things are heavy. Guess that's kind of the point, right? If it was light, it wouldn't work as well. Let's see, I want this, yeah, I want this open when I mount it. I do believe. I'm sure you'll all tell me if I'm wrong, but this way I can get this mounted all the way back. Ah, there. A little more. There we go. Okay. Now the only issue, silly me, I did not grab the bolts to mount it. So I'll just center mark these. I'm going to want to drill them a little before I put the lag bolts in anyway. There. Oh, that's heavy. One there, one there, one there. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to pre-drill just with a small bit these holes so the lag bolts will go in a little easier and hopefully not split the wood at all. Hopefully. There we go. Now, there's the bolts I'm going to use. And I need to find some washers. Let's see if we can get this sucker mounted. Alright, got my 3 lag bolts, got washers on each of them. Let's lift that sucker up and see if we can't mount it. Yeah, I giggled at that. Okay. Things are lighter when you grunt, right? Isn't that like Y chromosome 101? If it's heavy, you grunt, and you can lift it up easier. Man. Whew. Okay. Got it there. Here's the first one. Twist it started. Now, if I can get this one in, then the others should be easier because I can use both hands. And this would be much, much easier with a ratchet wrench, but mine is currently out at my parents' place because we're replacing the bunch of parts on my Explorer. We're replacing the transmission, the entire transmission, which apparently on early 2000s Explorers is prone to just give out. But we're working on that, and while we've got everything out, we're also going to check to see if the head is warped and send it into a machine shop if it needs to be fixed. And going to replace the head gaskets, valve covers, gaskets. Basically any gasket in there we can replace, we're going to replace it because that thing has been leaking a bunch. So yes, if I had my ratchet, this would be much, much, much quicker and easier. But I don't. So we do what we do. Now this one's even easier than the next two will be in one way. At least one of the next ones is a different size, so I'm just going to use a crescent wrench for that. But one. See if we can get this, get 2 in. See, but not here. Like I said, yeah, you can hear the train in the background. Unfortunately, I'm not nearly as generous as Chandler. If you haven't watched any of the Chandler Dickinson's videos, if you're interested in blacksmithing, he's great. You should be watching him. Great guy out of New York. But his shop is right by train tracks. Ah, man, this one's a little off center. And he gives things away whenever train whistles are in his videos. Well, sometimes when train whistles are in his videos. But I don't really have anything to give away. I'm not very good at making stuff yet. So maybe someday, if I actually get good at any of this, and we hear stuff, and we'll come up with something for giving things away. But until then, sorry. Anyway, So, okay, well, I'm just going to get these in. You probably don't really care to watch me turn in 3 lag bolts. That's not very exciting. So, I'll get those in. And by golly, I think we've done it. And there we go. It's not perfectly pretty, but it works pretty darn well so far. Got my my stand for my post vise. Concrete over here is a counterbalance. This is on pretty sturdy. Now I don't have the U-bolts. I want to get some that'll go all the way through both 4x4s. So I'll get some long U-bolts that I can put through there. But in the meantime, I got just zip ties holding it on, just to keep it from wobbling too much. But at least now it's usable, which is pretty exciting. And I can, whatever I got to work on, I can clamp in there, and not quite as good as mounting it to the whole bench, but you know what? I think it'll work just fine. So yeah, it's exciting. So there you go, the entire stand for the post vise out of literally all scrap. Yep, all a bunch of scrap wood. Again, 4x4s, picked up, they're like $1 a piece from the Habitat for Humanity Restore. So if you haven't been to one of those, and you do really anything for projects or do-it-yourself anything or others, go check it out. They're great. I think you'll be surprised what you can find. So, hope you enjoyed. All I need is those 2 U-bolts, and we're done. So, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. I'd love some input. So, cheers. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the process of making it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have any thoughts, comments, ideas, suggestions for another project, ways to make that one better, things I did wrong, I'd love to hear it. Let me know. Something you want to see me try to do, I'm always up for an adventure. So, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Cheers.